I'm going to be honest with you. This is probably like the hardest thing you'll have to do this whole unit is find the domain and range of piecewise. It's difficult. You have to think about it. I'm not being sarcastic like I was last time. It is kind of difficult. Okay? So stick with me. Domain is talking about what values? X. Okay? So X values go in which direction? X values. Horizontal. So from left to right, correct? Write that up here. Left to right. And then range is talking about what values? Y. So it's going, which is up and down. I want you to write down first. Down, up. So when we are describing the domain and the range, when we're describing the domain, all it's asking is how far left is your graph going, how far right is your graph going. And then for range, how low does your graph go, then how high does your graph go. Alright, with piecewise though, this is why it's difficult with piecewise, because sometimes we skip Y values or X values, and we'll get to that in a minute. But looking at this graph, we're going to start with how far left does this graph go? Negative infinity. Good, because this piece right here, isn't it going down forever, and as it's going down, it's going what? Left forever. In which direction? Negative, so negative infinity. And remember, infinities always get parentheses, right? Because we can't ever reach it. Now, we have to make sure we're not skipping any X values. And here's the easiest way I'm going to teach you how to. I know it's silly, but this is how I learned how to. These are all your X values, right? I want you to move your pen up and down like this. Go ahead and do it. I know it's silly. Alright, and the reason I want you to do this to check, what's this X value? Negative 4. See how it has a Y value right here? So this X value has a Y value. Does this X value have a Y value? And keep going. Does this? Does this? Does this? Does this? But then we stop here. This piece kind of looks funky. Because at X equals 1, it looks like there's no value here because of the hole, right? But what else do we notice? Above it, there's a filled-in hole. So is there a Y value for this X value? Yes, the Y value is what? Right here. 1. The Y value, not the X value. This is the X value, but the Y value is 1. Alright, are we good here? All of these have a Y value? Does everybody see what I'm doing? Okay. Let me try it again.
How do you go from that one to the other one?
This one to here?
Yeah.
I was just saying right here, it looks like this X value this is 1, right? This X value of 1 doesn't have a Y value because it has a hole. But it does because this one fills it in. So if I were to ask you, is this 1 or 2? Okay. At this X value 2, what's the Y value here? 1. So it does have a Y value. Okay? And so does right here. This Y value is 1, this one's 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 1. So we're not skipping any X values. Okay? So how far right does this graph go? Infinity. And for piecewise functions, it will almost always be negative infinity to infinity for your domain. Almost always. Now for your range, this is where it gets tricky. How far low is this graph going?
Negative infinity.
Good. But notice, these are our Y values, right? So when we're checking our Y values, you're going to go side to side, like this. Now, once I get all of these Y values have an X value, right? Right here. All of these do. But this one, the Y value at negative 2, does it have an X value? There's a hole there. And see this one, at negative 1, is there an X value here? Nope. And at 0, is there one? No. As 1, is there one? Yes, right here. So if you have a highlighter, I want you to highlight all of this missing Y values right here. If you don't, I have 2 extra if anybody wants one. Does anybody want one? Can I toss it? Anybody else want one? So all of these points right here, these Y values, have no X value. Does everybody see that? easiest way to do it, go like this. And you can see it's hitting the line, hitting the line, hitting the line, nothing right here when you're going side to side. So we can't say that our graph is going from negative infinity to infinity because it's not. It's skipping this part, right? So we described how low this piece goes. How high does this piece go? Where does it stop at? Not the x value, the y value. Stops at -2. Very good. And will it get a parentheses or bracket? Because it's a what? Open circle. Good. We're about to describe it now. And y'all remember when we did a number line? Let me come over here. And we had something like this. What kind of statement is this? Or. So when we described it, we had one piece right here with what in the middle? Oh, U. Good. Same thing here. There's a line right here, nothing in the middle. Everybody see that? So we're going to put a U. And now we have to describe this part. But this y value, it's not going up or down, right? It's just at one point. And what's that y value at? 1. So this is how I want you to write it. Just as a point. And why did I put brackets? Because it's closed. Good. I know y'all shaking your head like, I do not know what's going on right now.
So if it's just like that, it would always feel like whatever point it's at.
Yes.
There wouldn't be an X and a Y. It's just
correct, because it's just horizontal. Who else had a question? Yvonne, do you have something?
How do you know which one is how do you know which one is domain and which one is range?
Domain is talking about x values, so you're looking side to side, so it goes left forever, right forever. The range is talking about up and down. It'll get better, I promise. That's why we're practicing it today. Alright, flip it over. Alright, now we're going to describe domain and range for this graph. Again, domain is looking at how far left, how far right. Okay? So how far left is this graph going? Yes. See how this is going to go left forever? Everybody with me?
Yes, ma'am.
So this will be negative infinity. And this x value right here, again, to check x values to make sure you're not skipping, go like this across and see where it looks like it would skip right here. But does it? Because what's the y value at -1?
2.
Good. There's a closed circle. We keep going down the line. Doesn't all these have a value? Yes. So it's going to go to what? Yes, it goes right forever. This one goes right forever. And like I said, domain will pretty much always be like this for piecewise. The range is the only tricky part. Alright, so start with how low the graph goes. It's going to go to what? Yes, this is going to go down forever, right? So it's going to be negative infinity. Let's make sure we don't skip any y values. So going across like this, we get to this hole right here, but doesn't this build in by this graph, this value right here? So for example, the value, the x value at y equals -2 would be what? Like -5, right? Everybody see that? So it doesn't skip, goes all the way up. So our graph goes from negative infinity to what? Good. Alright, questions? Alright, let's see if we can do the next one together. By together, I mean y'all doing it. So let me call on some people. Alright, for the domain, Meredith, how far left is my graph going? Good. This piece shows us that, right? Left forever. To what, Shania? Yep, because it goes right forever. Alright, we didn't skip any x values, right? All of these had a y value. Did we skip any y values in this one? Yes, this huge chunk. For example, like what's the x value at 0? There is none, correct? So highlight that portion. We're skipping y values right here. All the way from here to here. There are no y values. So that means we'll have to describe these two lines separately, just like last time. So Carson, starting with this bottom piece, how low is it going?
Negative infinity.
And how high is it going?
So like -3.
Good. And parentheses or bracket?
Parentheses.
How'd you know that?
Because open circle.
Good. What goes in the middle, everybody? U. Alright, Ashton, how low does this piece go? 2. Good. Parentheses or bracket? And it goes to what? Very good. So getting a little better?
No, really.
Not really.
This
Alright.
next one's really confusing.
It's not. The next one's probably the easiest one. I promise. Yes.
How come on the first one we only put 1?
Because this piece, notice how they're both, like they have a slope. They're both linear. This one's just constant. So this y is not rising. It's not going high or low. It's just constant at that point. So if it's horizontal, it'll just be one number like this one. Does that make sense? Okay. Again, let's do this one together. So domain is talking about left to right, so side to side. So, Kaylee, how far left is this graph going? Good. Jana, and then how far right is it going? Good. Does everybody see that? Again, we're not, yes.
Is it because like they overlap?
Yes.
Okay.
Like we're saying, this fills in this hole, this one fills in this hole. So we're not skipping any x values. Are we skipping any y values in this one?
Yes, ma'am.
No.
Yes. No. No. No.
Looking this way, right? This one looks like we're skipping it, but isn't there a y value right here? Yes, so we're not skipping this one. Everything's good here. It looks like we're skipping here, but doesn't this fill it in? Yes, so are we skipping any?
No.
Nope, there's just nothing taller than this, right? So I want you to highlight that top portion. There's just nothing right here. Why didn't I highlight down here?
Because that one goes all the way down.
Good, because this goes all the way down. So now let's describe it. How low does this graph go? Yes, this is going to go all the way to what? Negative infinity. How high does this graph go?
So 4.
Yes. Bracket or parentheses?
Bracket.
Good. Again, this is the highest this graph is going. Alright, so I want y'all to be honest with me.